I've even had a record company, and I don't want to lambaste nobody's name or anything, but they told me, Hammer, you know what the problem is? You're a little too clean. Here's what we're going to do. Why don't you start to do a few things that maybe dirty up your image a little bit. Maybe we can sell a little more records.
They got this new breed of rapper that's paying DJs to play their
right.
And, you know what I'm saying? They sucking the record label executives, and it's like there's too much of that going on.
I don't want to ever have to call somebody's mother or father and say, I got bad news for you. They found your daughter this morning dead on 10th Street about 4 o'clock. I think the first question from that parent mind would be, Hammer, I let my daughter go with you. What was she doing out at 4 o'clock in the morning on 10th Street? So therefore, I accept my responsibility, and if I get labeled a disciplinarian, then again.
Full of a bunch of sucking, riding, bending over the desk, nigga, straight up.
I realized that, you know what? This is God's country because I met the devil here. Because if I hadn't met the devil here, I wouldn't realize I was strong enough to overcome the obstacle that the devil would place in my path.
You're just the wrong one in the industry and you will get hurt. I'm an artist in the industry. So I do what the I want because nobody can finish me.
Two men, one industry that couldn't break them. While others sold their souls for fame, DMX and MC Hammer stood alone, uncontrolled, unbothered, and unafraid. And when DMX allegedly made Diddy run for his life, everything the industry tried to hide came crashing down. This isn't just music history. It's a warning shot from the real ones the game couldn't silence.
It's a conspiracy against me, you know, because in the absence of the truth will prevail. So as long as nobody out there spitting real, you know, you can come up with anything and it'll sell, you know what I'm saying? But once you put the truth out there, it's like people have something to compare everything else to. So, you know, you got a lot of people who are not really happy about the fact that, you know, my album is about to drop. You know, they're not really happy about, you know, Lord, give me a sign, and, you know, we in here, and, you know, things of that nature. But you know what?
MC Hammer had already made it. Hits on the radio, platinum plaques, world tours. But that still wasn't enough for the people pulling the strings. One day, a record executive pulled him aside and told him the unthinkable. You're too clean. Let that sink in. Too positive, too responsible, too safe. They wanted edge, scandal, dirt. So they offered him a plan. Roughen up your image a bit. Maybe then we can sell more records. Translation: trade integrity for controversy. And if that sounds familiar, it's because the playbook hasn't changed. Hammer wasn't just being asked to evolve. He was being told to abandon everything that made him different. Meanwhile, the industry was quietly pushing a new breed of artist, ones who played the game without asking questions. Behind the scenes, deals were being cut. DJs were getting paid off to spin tracks. Labels were choosing who'd get hot and who'd get shelved, not based on talent, but on obedience. It was never just about music. It was about control. MC Hammer refused. He wasn't about to be turned into something he wasn't just to please a room full of execs. He didn't want the kind of fame that required him to be someone else, someone darker. And that decision, to stand firm in a world built on bending, would mark him as a problem. Not for his fans, but for the machine. The industry doesn't like artists it can't mold. And that's exactly what Hammer was. But he wasn't the only one. Because in the shadows, another voice was rising, and he was even more dangerous.
You're not gonna see me at every party, every industry party, all the clubs. I go somewhere quiet, man, shoot pool with me and my mans and them, you know what I'm saying? That's type of shit. That's type of shit, you know what I'm saying? Remote control cars, jump on the four-wheelers, you know what I mean? I ain't with all that in the club, throwing it up and all that bullshit.
While the industry was busy grooming obedient stars, DMX and MC Hammer carved their own path, and they made it clear. They didn't need the machine to validate them. They weren't just artists, they were rebels. Hammer chose discipline over decadence. He ran his tours like a military operation. Bed checks, curfews, zero tolerance for recklessness. He wasn't just a performer, he was a protector. To him, every dancer, every crew member was family. and he carried that responsibility like a badge of honor. Then there was DMX, raw, untamed, and brutally honest. He wasn't showing up to flashy industry parties or rubbing shoulders with label bosses. He was in the streets, in the studio, or at home with his dogs and his kids. "I'm not an industry artist. I'm an artist in the industry," he once said. And he meant every word. Neither of them played the game. They didn't chase clicks, trends, or cosigns. They weren't trying to be liked by the elite, and that made them dangerous. Because when you can't be bought, you can't be controlled. And when you can't be controlled, you become a threat. Other rappers follow the script. Smile for the camera, say the right things, play along. But Hammer and DMX, they were speaking truth in a world built on silence. And the industry didn't know what to do with them. They couldn't be boxed, they couldn't be bribed, and they damn sure weren't bending over backwards to please anyone. But standing on principle comes with a cost. And for DMX, that cost came crashing down the day he confronted one of the most powerful men in music. Because when X stepped to Diddy, everything changed.
They selling our people short, man. Get this, wear this, have this, drive this. That's not what a 10 to 14-year-old child in the hood needs to hear. That this is what's important, because it's not what's important. That's what you get when you work hard. Go get your dream. Follow your dream, and you'll get that when you're ready for that.
DMX never bit his tongue. That's what made him dangerous. And that's exactly why Diddy wanted him silenced. Back in the 90s, when Bad Boy Records was rising fast and Diddy was becoming a household name, he had his sights set on every artist with star potential. And few were hotter than DMX. But when Diddy had the chance to sign him, he passed. Said X didn't fit the bad boy image. That was until he saw Def Jam putting serious money behind him. Suddenly, Diddy was back, offering to double the deal, begging X to join the empire. But X wasn't impressed. He'd already heard the rumors, whispers of control tactics, disturbing rituals, creepy stories about what really went on behind closed doors at Bad Boy. And DMX wanted no part of it. He was already watching how young rappers under Diddy were being shaped, told what to wear, how to act, what to drive. "That's not what the youth need," he said. "That's not what matters." Then came the moment that shifted everything. According to those close to DMX, including MC Hammer himself, X didn't just decline Diddy's offer. He confronted him directly. Allegedly, he told Diddy to his face, "I'm not into your freak-off behavior. Don't bring that my way." And that was it. No shouting, no theatrics, just pure, cold defiance. Diddy backed off, fast. No more offers, no more phone calls. Because in that moment, he knew DMX was one man he couldn't break. Most would have stayed quiet. Most would have played the game. But DMX stood tall, and for that, the industry marked him. And behind Diddy's empire, there were darker rumors still. Twisted, powerful ones that exposed just how deep the rot went.
Hey, P. Diddy offers you a boiled egg. And you gotta be able to put it somewhere without it cracking. And if you do that, you passed for whatever it is they need you to do. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was a joke, but apparently, allegedly, it looks like it's something that really goes down.
Adam's guys put their pants down and been over this. The egg break, they say they not ready yet. They ain't put it.
What if the music industry wasn't just shady, but straight up disturbing? Because according to multiple insiders, Bad Boy Records wasn't just about hits and hype. There were allegations, the kind that make your skin crawl. It started with whispers, then became headlines. Former Death Row CEO Suge Knight was one of the first to speak publicly. He claimed that behind the scenes, Diddy wasn't just controlling artists, he was testing them in ways that had nothing to do with music. One story, the so-called egg ritual. Allegedly, Diddy would offer a boiled egg to male artists and expect them to, well, insert it somewhere without cracking it. A test of loyalty? A twisted initiation? No one really knows, but Suge swore it was real. His words, not ours. Sounds ridiculous until you hear others say the same. Reports claim these weren't just isolated incidents. Behind closed doors, there were parties, favors, and freak-offs. Exclusive gatherings where boundaries blurred and careers were made or broken based on compliance, not talent. And if an artist refused, suddenly their albums got delayed, videos pulled, promotion vanished. People close to DMX and MC Hammer say this was why they stayed far from the industry's core. They weren't just avoiding parties, they were avoiding traps. Because in their eyes, this wasn't just about fame, it was about your soul. And if even half of these stories are true, the cost of playing the game wasn't just your dignity, it was your identity. But Hammer and X weren't built to be puppets. They walked away from what others begged for, and that scared the hell out of the machine. But while the industry tried to smear them, their real lives told a very different story.
Now, you got issues with the industry. What's going down with the industry, dog?
The industry is full of a bunch of sucking, riding, bending over the desk, straight up like that. Whoever don't like it, bring it. Bring it. I don't give a bring it. Bring it. They got this new breed of rapper that's paying DJs to play their shit.
Right.
And, you know what I'm saying? They sucking the record label executives' dicks, and it's like there's too much of that going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let me be me. Let me be the artist that I am and just play my mother music. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now they want you all up under this, you know, sitting at the going to dinner with them and that, and you know, all that favor for a favor shit. I don't get down like that. Look, I give you the music, you give my money. That's it. A lot of the love I had for wanting to be a part of the industry is not there anymore. I don't even associate myself with the industry. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an industry artist. I'm an artist in the industry. You know?
And you've always stood alone, and
Yeah.
you know, bloodline.
You're not gonna see me at every party, every industry party, all the clubs. I go somewhere quiet, man, shoot pool with me and my mans and them. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of shit I do. You know what I'm saying? Remote control cars, jump on the four-wheelers. You know what I mean? I ain't with all that in the club, throwing it up and all that bullshit. I ain't got time for that shit, man. You know what I mean? Because then you find yourself doing the same shit every day. What are you, a fucking alcoholic? You know what I mean? Come on, man. Give it a break, man. Live a little. You know what I mean? I play with my kids, man. I play with my toys, I play with my dogs, man. You know what I'm saying? We go somewhere, shoot pool. We do what the we do. You know what I mean? That's why you see us in places that you don't normally see. And you're like, damn, why you here? Well, I'm here because why are you here? You here playing video games.
While the industry thrived on chaos and scandal, MC Hammer stood out like a lighthouse in a storm. Bright, disciplined, and impossible to corrupt. From the outside, Hammer looked like a flashy entertainer. Baggy pants, iconic dance moves, sold-out arenas. But behind that shine was a man who lived by strict principles. Hammer didn't drink, he didn't party, he didn't even curse in his songs. And while most rappers collected scandals, Hammer collected responsibilities. He was, and still is, married to the same woman since the 1980s. Together, they raised 5 children. In an industry where loyalty is rare and family life often takes a back seat, Hammer chose commitment over temptation. He ran his tours like a tight ship. Curfews, bed checks, and full accountability. Why? Because he saw himself as a guardian, not just a boss. I never want to call a parent and say their child didn't make it home, Hammer once said. That mindset earned him labels like control freak. But he didn't care. He wasn't trying to impress the industry. He was trying to protect the people under his care. And that's where Hammer became a threat. The industry could handle wild rappers. They could handle controversy. But a clean, successful black man with power, discipline, and no skeletons? That's not someone they could manipulate. That's someone they had to marginalize. So they tried to make a joke out of him, mocked his image, clowned his moves, called him outdated. But behind the scenes, even street legends respected Hammer, because they knew the truth. He wasn't soft. He was solid. And that quiet strength would end up connecting him to another artist who refused to bend. Because like Hammer, DMX wasn't just avoiding corruption. He was living by a code.
I said, yo, why I can't have two videos playing at the same time? Oh, because we don't want your videos to compete with each other. But then I turn on the TV, I ain't gonna say no artist names, but they got 3 videos back to back.
Exactly.
I'm like, you feed shit, and you suck. It's all crazy, man. Yo, I had to punch face up there, man. After that, I was like, I'm not going to the office no more.
Is that how it went down?
Yeah. Cause I don't, I'm a grown man, and I ain't got time to be playing no kid games, man. So once I see I'm not dealing with a man and he disrespects me, I'm breaking.
In an industry overflowing with skeletons and sealed court files, DMX and MC Hammer stood out for a very rare reason. There were no creepy stories, no NDAs, no scandals involving women, nothing. Think about that. DMX lived loud. Arrests, addiction battles, wild interviews. He was always in the headlines. The media tried to paint him as unstable, dangerous, a ticking time bomb. And yet, not once did anyone accuse him of harming women, manipulating underage girls, or crossing lines that so many of his peers blurred daily. That silence, it speaks volumes. Even when rumors swirled about DMX and Aaliyah, people speculated they might have dated. But look closely, and you see a man who protected her, not preyed on her. His words were always filled with admiration and respect. No ego, no flex, just love. And when he passed, Aaliyah's own mother wrote a heartfelt tribute. Earl, you had and still have a heart of gold. Then there's Hammer, a lifelong family man. No secret kids, no lawsuits, no accusations from dancers or staff. Just a man who took his role seriously and lived like someone was always watching. Because to him, someone always was. Compare that to the ones who were protected, praised, and platformed, despite decades of allegations. Diddy, Jay-Z, and others stayed in power while their stories stayed buried. So why were the clean ones ignored? Why were the real ones dismissed? Because when you're not dirty, they can't blackmail you. When you don't play the game, they can't play you. And in a world where silence is bought and sold, being unbreakable is the loudest threat of all. But even behind the respect and restraint, there were still rumors. And DMX's bond with Aaliyah, that one kept people guessing.
Man, this how you know the industry is fake, bro. All these rappers that be claiming they gangsters, they really about that life, bro. Ain't about none of that, bro. This man right here was really about that life, bro. Bro, I was just doing my research, bro. A lot of rappers from back in the day that said they didn't get shook by MC Hammer, bro.
You know, Hammer was a big dog, man. He got respect in the streets. He came from a respected crew. They handled business, him and his brother Lewis and the crew. Without spending any money, Hammer could have told some people to him the up. I know who Hammer was affiliated with, and he wouldn't have to pay. We from Oakland.
You be talking about Hammer, but run up on it.
Hammer beat you.
I bet he'll beat your
monk ass. Run up on Hammer.
That goddamn MC Hammer, very serious about beef. Oh, you gonna talk about my dancing pants? I see you. And he will whoop out.
And after Redman's interview, I will never disrespect Hammer.
His entourage was something like I never seen in my life. Like it was literally
100 people.
More than 100 people, probably.
That's
like,
actually how he. That's actually
but it was girls, guys, gangsters, dancers, everybody.
I go right on Hammer because they said he is that real, and it was.
When DMX and Aaliyah appeared together in the early 2000s, on red carpets, in music videos, and in interviews, the chemistry was obvious. They laughed together, looked out for each other, and seemed to share a connection that ran deeper than fame. Naturally, fans speculated, were they more than friends? But unlike most industry flings, there was no drama, no gossip headlines, no breakup diss tracks, just quiet respect. Every time DMX spoke about Aaliyah, it wasn't about attraction, it was about admiration. She was a beautiful person, he said. She made me feel comfortable. We laughed. She had that light in her. There was no ego in his words. No, I could have had her energy. Just genuine love. And when Aaliyah tragically passed, DMX was one of the first to pay tribute, publicly breaking down in a video that showed the raw pain of someone who had truly lost a friend. Even Aaliyah's mother, Diane Houghton, honored DMX after his passing years later. In a post to Aaliyah's official page, she wrote, "Earl, you had and still have a heart of gold. You and baby girl will meet again." That kind of message doesn't come from a PR team. It comes from truth, from real connection. And maybe that's what separated DMX from the rest. While others chased clout and used women for image building, he protected the ones he cared about, even when the cameras weren't rolling. In an industry built on illusion, their bond was one of the few things that felt real. No scandal, no exploitation. Just two souls who saw each other clearly. But while X treated women with care, others in power saw them as tools. And that's where the industry line between talent and control gets darkest.
He's clean. I think he's a great inspiration for the young people. PG, I think. It's positive rap.
If MC Hammer is anything, it's a savvy marketer. His music has a little something for everybody. The old melodies he uses pull in the parents. The rap lyrics he adds grab the kids. And because he's a religious man, there are no four-letter words in his act.
DMX and MC Hammer were never meant to be puppets. That's what made them dangerous. And that's why the industry tried to bury them. Most artists chase the spotlight. They say the right things, make the right friends, and play by the unspoken rules. They sit at the right tables, attend the right parties, and quietly agree to things no one ever talks about on record. In return, protection, promotion, a pass. But X and Hammer, they said no. Hammer refused to be anyone's puppet. He wouldn't drink the champagne, wouldn't join the after parties, and wouldn't let the machine dictate how he moved. He built his own label, toured with his own crew, and enforced real rules to keep people safe. That wasn't control, it was leadership. DMX, on the other hand, didn't even care to play the game. He didn't want their invites, their favors, or their approval. He knew what was happening behind the scenes. The rituals, the favoritism, the freak-offs, the fake friendships. And he wanted nothing to do with it. "Let me be me," he said. "I'm not here to kiss up to anybody." And that's the real reason they never got the same push. Because when you can't be manipulated, you can't be owned. When you don't have dirt on you, you can't be silenced. And when you refuse to sell your soul, they stop giving you a platform. That's the unspoken truth about fame in the music industry. The real ones get pushed out. The players stay in, and the game? It's always been rigged. But even after being blackballed, smeared, or forgotten, DMX and Hammer left behind something more powerful than a platinum plaque. A legacy that couldn't be compromised.
Show off Hammer and his budding entertainment empire. All the groups touring with him are signed to his record label. And while the tour is great exposure, the main man's obsession with perfection and clean living, dancers are subjected to curfews and bed checks, have his detractors calling him a control freak. So you find yourself being somewhat of a father on the tour, a strict dad?
I don't want to ever have to call somebody's mother or father and say, "I got bad news for you. They found your daughter this morning dead on 10th Street about 4 o'clock. I think the first question from that parent mind would be, "Hammer, I let my daughter go with you. What was she doing out at 4 o'clock in the morning on 10th Street? So therefore, I accept my responsibility, and if I get labeled a disciplinarian, then again, thank you."
DMX and MC Hammer were never the industry's favorites because they refused to be controlled. They didn't show up to every event. They didn't chase clout or sell out their values. They didn't do the favors, attend the freak-offs, or play by the unwritten rules that so many others accepted in silence. Instead, they told the truth. They stood on business, and they walked away from power when it came with a leash. Meanwhile, the ones who bent, the ones who kept quiet and did what they were told, those are the artists who got the magazine covers, the label budgets, the untouchable reputations. But look closer. You'll see who really paid the price. The industry rewards obedience, not integrity. It elevates puppets, not the principled. DMX and Hammer weren't perfect. They didn't need to be. What they were, though, was real, and that's exactly why they were never truly embraced by the machine. So now the question isn't just what happened to them. It's why do we keep celebrating the ones who played along and forgetting the ones who stood alone? Let me know what you think in the comments. Were DMX and Hammer pushed out for staying true? And why does the industry always protect the puppets while silencing the real ones?